Why I prefer to lease a car instead of buy a car. Let me just say, everybody's situation is different. Everybody's preference is different. And I'm just going to tell you today my opinion why it makes more sense for me to lease a car than to buy a car. I honestly think you end up with a little bit more freedom, and I think you're going to be in a better financial position. I'm going to outline specifically the numbers that I just leased a car this past weekend, and I'm going to outline those numbers and why I chose to lease over buy. If you like this type of content, my name's Nate Jones. I make videos on business, money, how to buy businesses, which businesses you should buy and which ones you should not. So give me a like and subscribe. I drop a video every day at 1:15 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so why I lease instead of buy. So my wife and I this weekend, we went to the Honda dealership. I really like Hondas. We also went to the Tesla dealership. I preferred Honda over Tesla just because I'm able to buy out the lease at the end of my Honda car, and Tesla does not provide that. So I ended up going with a Honda CRV. The MSRP on the vehicle was $37,000. On a 3-year lease, my residual is $24,000. A residual is basically the price at which you can purchase the car at the end of the 3-year lease. So I have an option to buy that car for $24,000 at the end of the lease. If the car is worth more than $24,000, I will buy that car and I will essentially use that delta. If the car is worth $26,000, I use my option to buy it for $24,000. The dealership will give me a $2,000 credit on my next lease. That's one reason why I like leases, because I don't put a ton of miles on my vehicles, so I can usually float the increase if the car holds its value. If it doesn't hold its value, then I'm glad I didn't buy it, right? Because then it depreciated even more than they anticipated. My monthly payment with no money down on a lease, never put money down. You're essentially prepaying your lease payments. You should never put money down because you should keep your cash and invest it and keep it aside. You don't want to prepay for payments. You want to pay payments when they're due. So zero money down. It's a $500 a month lease payment. So never put money down. That same car, if I bought it with a loan, here's what it would look like. I can't put no money down. Maybe you can, but with their Honda finances, I would have to probably put about $2,000 down. That means my loan would be $35,000. They have a 48-month 3.9% special right now. That would put me at $788 a month. Again, my lease with no money down is $500 a month. So I'm saving about $288 there just by not buying the vehicle. So with fees and everything, I will spend $41 with fees and interest and everything by the time I pay off this car. After 48 months, that is $41,307 plus my down payment. So this car I'm paying $43,307 for. The car value at the end of that 48 months, which is 4 years, right? So after the end of the 4 years, it has depreciated based on the projection from the lease that I had, $4,333 every year. So times that by 4, we're at a total depreciation of $17,332, okay? So I've lost $17,332. My value is $19,668, okay? So I essentially, how much money did I lose? Well, I paid $43,307. I lost $19,668, and my value, I have $23,639. That's how much money. That's how much it's worth. $19,668. That's what the car is worth. So that means I lost $23,639 in 4 years by buying this vehicle. So I've lost it. You take that money, burn it, it's gone. Okay. What did I lose on a lease? Well, we lost $500 a month for 3 years. That's $18,000. Plus, my lease is only 3 years. The car loan's 4 years. So that means that the next year I have to do another $500, which is $6,000. $500 a month is $6,000. That puts me at a total out cost of $24,000. Okay. So the $24,000 I spent, again, light that on fire. It's gone. The $24,000 is spent. So if you buy it with the down payment and everything, you have lost $23,639, but by the time you do a little bit of maintenance, it is a break even. It's a break even at the 4-year mark if you lease versus you buy. So if you hold on to this car for another 3 to 4 years, after you buy it, the car is going to continue to go down. You're going to have more maintenance cost. While I'm still paying my $500, you can make that argument, but my point is eventually that car is going to go to nothing, so your value is going to go to nothing. So where it makes sense, if you're going to lease or you're going to get a loan, I almost think it's almost sometimes better to have a little bit of equity. But I would never get a car loan. I would just pay the $37,000 cash and walk out of the dealership. So in my situation, I wouldn't get a car loan because I don't like how I have to pay $200 more a month. I like to drive a new car every 3 years because I'm in the business world. So I need a newer type car because if I drive a junker, it maybe doesn't go with our feng shui of our business, right? So I need a new car every 3 years, and I like to be able to be flexible. I can turn the car in and I can say, okay, maybe I don't want a Honda this time. Maybe I'll get a Mercedes or a Tesla next time, right? So the break even's at that 4-year mark. So what if I bought the car cash? That's what I just said, right? So let's do this. Let's do this scenario. And this is what made it so apparent for me to lease a car instead of buying it. If I paid $37,000 cash out the door, there's fees on both sides, but let's just say the fees are minimal to kind of break even, right? $37,000 at the end of the same 3-year period, my car is only worth $24,000. So I lost $13,000, okay? But when you spend money, there is always an opportunity cost. And this is what I did in my head. I have $37,000 to pay cash for the car. Why don't I take that money, set it aside in an S&P 500 index fund where I get 7%. Look it up. The S&P does about 6 to 8% a year, depending on the year. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. But the average over a 10-year period is around 7%. So $37,000 in an index fund making 7% a year for 3 years puts that same 37 at $45,618. So I made $8,618 that I have made by not buying cash for the car, but putting that money aside and putting it in an index fund. So, like I said, right, I am paying $18,000 a year for my lease. That's $500 a month for 3 years straight. Okay, but I set that money aside and I have $8,618. So let's take our investment gains of that $8,618 minus our total 3-year lease payment, which is $18,000. That puts me at a net cost of $9,382. So $9,382 divided by 3 years is $3,127 a year, $260 a month that car actually costs me. So it only cost me $260 to actually drive that car, and I don't have to worry about having my cash going out every month. I don't have to worry about owning it. If it breaks down, I say, here you go, Honda. Here you go. And after the 3 years, when it potentially is going to start having some problems, I swap it out and I get another one. And usually I will buy it and I'll have another $2,000 taken on the lease credit. So to me, a car is a depreciating asset. It's always going to go down. I don't want to buy an asset that's going down in value. I just want to use it, turn it in when I'm done with it. So that $260 net cost is what really made it for me. Is like, you look at the $260 minus that. If I were to buy at $788, I mean, it's like $500 a month. So even if I take that delta and keep investing, I mean, I'm going to end up with way more money down the road someday. So it just makes more sense for me to lease. And why I believe it's better, I have 3 reasons here. Number 1, money continues to compound. You want your money to work for you so you don't work for it. And that means if I put that $37,000 aside and it compounds for 10 years, that money becomes a big balloon. And then at that point, I have another source for retirement because I have put that money aside. Number 2, cars eventually go to nothing. You know, that's kind of a debatable topic. You can probably usually sell a car for at least $1,000 to $2,000 if it is beat to heck. Probably sell a car for about $3,000 to $4,000, if not $5,000, if it is running. I had a family member sell an old Lexus that had 170,000 miles on it for like $5,000. So the car is always worth a little bit of something, but it's very, very minuscule compared to what you bought it for. Number 3, having cash is king. Cash is king because if you have money on hand and something happens that's out of the ordinary that you need money for, maybe a family member gets sick, maybe you get sick, maybe something happens at your house, you got to replace the roof, you don't have to go into stupid debt to pay for that. So you have that money sitting there and you can use it to fight the war. Fight the war of life. Life giving you unknown expenses, giving you crazy stuff that happens that just takes money to solve. So when you have that cash, that allows you to continue to use that money. So if something negative happens, you are there and you have the money to do it. So that's why I like having my money set aside and not stuck in a car, because if I have to sell the car, then I don't have transportation, whereas that money is set aside. So all I have to do is come up with $500 a month to pay for that lease. So that's what I think, and I would love to hear your opinions in the comments. Is it better to lease or is it better to buy? What did you do? Did you buy? Did you lease? Have you ever even thought about leasing? This is my thoughts. I'd love to hear your opinions. Thanks.